Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. I'm Representative Greg Amore, Democrat from East Providence. Behind me are my colleagues, many of my colleagues. We're here to present the Fair Shot agenda. I'm going to give a brief overview, and then we're going to have 4 individual reps speak on the specific items, and then we can take questions after that. In the aftermath of the November elections, and in the midst of decades of economic policy that has continually tilted the scales toward the wealthy and large corporations, and has resulted in an ever-growing income and wealth inequality, a shrinking middle class, and an overall feeling of abandonment upon working-class Americans, a group of House Democrats came together to craft an economic agenda that gives voice to tens of thousands of working Rhode Islanders who believe their government in Washington and at home has been less than responsive to their struggles. The stark reality is that many Rhode Islanders who work hard, play by the rules, seem to be running in place, or even worse, losing ground. They believe, and rightfully so, that the economic deck is stacked against them in favor of large corporations, the politically connected, and the very wealthy. The Fair Shot agenda is a package of legislative proposals that aims to provide working Rhode Islanders with economic opportunity and an improved standard of living, whether it be earned paid sick days, an increase in the minimum wage, a necessary school infrastructure program, or the reduction of the auto excise tax. This package serves the economic interests of every Rhode Islander, but its focus is on working class Rhode Islanders who have seen their hours increase, their income shrink, their property taxes go up, their kids' schools decay, and their prospects dim. They are asking for a fair shot. No worker should work full-time and live in or on the verge of poverty. No worker should sacrifice their or their child's health in fear of losing their position. No working-class taxpayer should struggle to pay their property taxes while large corporations get tax credits. And no student should be forced to go to school that offers a substandard learning environment where roofs leak, mold grows, windows are porous, and science labs are scarce. The Fair Shot agenda improves workers' wages and productivity, reduces a regressive property tax, helps low-wage workers climb the economic ladder, and in the case of school infrastructure, helps create good-paying middle-class jobs. It will stimulate our economy, improve our schools, and make us more competitive with our neighboring states. Most importantly, it places the concerns of the working class above the concerns of the privileged class. I introduce Representative Aaron Regenberg, who will speak on earned paid sick days. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. I am very proud to be standing here today alongside so many friends and colleagues to support the Fair Shot agenda. The simple idea powering the vision that we're outlining today is that everyone, no matter who you are, everyone deserves a fair shot at a decent life. You don't get a shortcut just because you were born rich, and you don't get shut out just because you weren't. Everyone deserves a fair shot at a decent life. And we believe that our state government, democratically elected by and for the people, can be the vehicle that makes sure everyone gets that fair shot. That's what we're proposing today, and what together we're going to be fighting for in the coming months. A critical pillar of this agenda is earned paid sick days. And the idea behind that legislation isn't complicated either. Every worker should be able to take a day off work when they're sick or when their kid is sick, to recover themselves or to take care of their family. That's it. It's that simple. Because, to state the obvious, everybody at some point is going to get sick, right? Whether you're CEO of a Fortune 500 company, or you're waiting tables at Denny's, or you're doing any other equally noble work to support your family in our community, one day you're going to come down with the flu, or your kid's going to get chicken pox, or you're going to have to visit the doctor. Now, most of us who, at least who work here in this building, are able to take that day off to recover or to be there for our kid when they need us most. Yet, this basic security is not accessible right now to countless Rhode Islanders. At this moment, 41% of private sector workers in our state are not able to earn a single day of paid sick time. The fact that so many of our neighbors are forced to go to work while they're ill, to send their kids to school sick, to tell their child on the phone when they get that call that they have to stay at the school nurse's office with a fever for 5 hours because they can't get off work to pick them up early. That should be morally unacceptable to all of us. Now, there's a ton of great reasons for this policy that have nothing to do with morality. There's the public health benefits, there's the worker productivity benefits, there's the overwhelming evidence that it does not have a disruptive effect on businesses. There's the fact that we're falling behind our neighbors. Massachusetts, Connecticut, Vermont, New York have all passed this policy. Those are all true and they're all good reasons, but what we're saying today is something else. What we're saying today is that this most basic security for a worker to be able to stay healthy, for our family members to be able to take care of each other, that is a moral imperative, and it is an essential part of giving every Rhode Islander a fair shot. And that's why all of us are going to be working very hard this year to make sure that's a reality for every Rhode Islander. So again, I am very proud to support the Fair Shot agenda, and now I'm excited to call up my colleague, Representative Marcia Ranglin-Bassel, who's going to tell us about another piece of this agenda. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Marcia Ranglin-Bassel. I'm a Providence Public School teacher and state rep for District 5. It is a privilege to represent my neighbors in District 5 and the people of Rhode Island. I stand here today representing all Rhode Islanders who just need a fair shot. I, along with my colleagues, strongly believe that raising the minimum wage to a living wage of $15 by 2022 over the next 5 years is the first step in helping the middle-class families that are trying to get into the middle class, in helping middle-class families and those trying to get into the middle class pay for living expenses. I support the Fair Share agenda because no one, absolutely no one, should work up to 80 hours a week and still live in poverty. Over this past summer, I had the unique opportunity of knocking on hundreds of doors and talking to my neighbors. Time and time again, I would meet families who were working really hard, and they were still not able to make ends meet. Whether it's the high cost of rents, or mortgages, or student debt, families, and all of us know these families, they're struggling. I remember vividly a 42-year-old man who had just pulled into his driveway from the supermarket. He told me he was not able to purchase all the groceries that he needed for his family. It broke my heart, and it should break all of our hearts. He was not alone. He is not unique. He represents thousands of Rhode Islanders who are unable to provide the very basic necessities for their families. There is something radically wrong when someone is working full-time, and cannot adequately prepare for his or her family. A couple of days ago, I was talking to one of my colleagues here at the State House who told me that some of the children in her district love to attend school. They love to go regularly because they are guaranteed breakfast and lunch at school. By raising the minimum wage to $11 within this year, we can provide families with the resources they need to provide for their children. I know firsthand as a public school teacher here in the city of Providence how difficult it is for kids to learn. You just can't learn because you're just thinking about the fact that you didn't eat any food. I would often use my own money to purchase snacks for students who may arrive after breakfast is served at school. I believe that we have the will here in Rhode Island, and I strongly believe that where there's a will, there is a way. Let's all get behind the Fair Shot here in Rhode Island. It's the right thing to do. It's the just thing to do. It's the humane thing to do. Increasing the minimum wage to $15 over the next 5 years, it's a win-win for the local economy. It helps families by increasing the quality of their lives. It also helps small businesses. The more money that families earn and have to spend, the more more money that they spend in their local neighborhood. So truly, truly, it's a win-win for all of us. Everyone benefits. I thank you. Everyone in this room, we should roll up our sleeves. Let's get behind the Fair Shot agenda. It's the right thing to do. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Representative Sarah.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Catherine Kazarian, and I am here today in support of the Fair Shot agenda, both as a state representative and as a lifelong resident of East Providence. The underlying principle of our Fair Shot agenda is simple. Every Rhode Islander deserves a fair shot at a decent life. It is from that premise that we try to determine what changes we can make to see this basic principle come to fruition. The first step to that Fair Shot agenda begins in our classrooms. If we're going to provide all of our children with the opportunities to succeed, we need to make sure every child in Rhode Island has access to high-quality resources for an equitable education. And the truth is, that cannot happen when every day we are sending our children to school in buildings that are physically crumbling. The average age of a Rhode Island school building is 60 years. The biggest problem is not merely that age. It's a majority of these buildings that have not been updated or even maintained since the original construction. Throughout our state, there are schools where buckets are placed to catch leaks in the halls when it rains. There are schools that lack heat in the winter. There are schools for which mold and asbestos are a constant threat to the health of our children and our teachers. In addition to the negative health impacts, these conditions send an implicit message to our students. They internalize the message that they and their education do not matter. There is no better investment in Rhode Island's economic future than to fund the infrastructure of our schools. It sends a message to our students that they count, that we believe in them, and it sends a message to businesses that we take our education seriously and our community seriously. My colleagues and I who support the Fair Shot agenda have embraced this issue as one that we are going to address this legislative session. We will work to secure investments for our education facilities that will ultimately remediate health and safety concerns, make school buildings more energy efficient, and provide every student with the up-to-date facilities they need to develop the 21st century skills. Thank you again, and now I'd like to call up my colleague, Representative Jean-Philippe Harris, who will talk about the last pillar in this agenda. Thank you.
Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Jean-Philippe Barros, and I'm a state rep from the city of Potomac. I'm here today because when I was elected back in 2014, my constituents sent me here to the General Assembly to do one thing, and to do just one thing. And that one thing was to fight for them. And fighting for them means fighting to give them a fair shot. And giving them a fair shot means bringing back more balance and equity into our tax system. Right now, Rhode Island, middle class and working families face a real burden. A tax system that is upside down. In that, it relies too heavily on a regressive tax policy. A regressive tax policy is one that disproportionately hurts those who least can afford it. They do this by increasing the taxes on working families while their income is decreasing. A good example of that is the car tax. And the reality is, over the course of time, our tax system has been redesigned to benefit the wealthy by shifting the tax burden onto working families. This adds, of course, to the growing gap between the wealthy and the middle class. Between 2009 and 2012, the richest 1% of our country saw their income grow by 34.7%. In the meantime, the bottom 99% only saw 0.8% gain in their income. Meaning 1% of the population capture 91% of the real income. And that's, for me, that's crazy. It's unfair. We have come to understand that inequity like this is bad for the economy, and is bad for democracy. A famous civil rights activist once asked this question: if democracy means justice, so why don't we have justice? And if democracy means equality, why don't we have equality? Well, I guess we probably know why. It's because this vicious cycle that keeps the middle class insecure. When the middle class feels insecure meaning by being in check by the wealthy, the rich, when they're under control, they won't ask for a decent wage. They won't ask for a decent working wage. They certainly will not be asked to get unionized. The current system as it exists today is an attack on the principles that are the basis for the prosperity and health of our society. To change this, of course, we would need a fairer tax system, one that does not ask the most from working families who can afford it the least. That is why we propose in the Fair Shot agenda to reduce the regressive car tax for the middle class in a responsible way by asking the wealthy among us to pay more than their fair share. With a more balanced system, we can make our economy more competitive and just, and give every Rhode Islander a fair shot. And thank you very much for coming.
Thank you. We'll try to answer any questions that you may have at this time.
Greg, we don't see Speaker Murphy here, so...
Yes, we do. It's right behind us.
That was 2006 instead of 2017. I meant to say Speaker Mattiello. So we don't see Speaker Mattiello here. To what extent does he support any or all of this package?
The speaker was briefed by a group of us. He's fully aware of our efforts. He encourages our efforts. He's open to all these ideas. Some of these ideas he's on record in favor of, the reduction of the car tax and school infrastructure. And it's our job to collectively sell this agenda to our colleagues and to him and to the people of Rhode Island. But he's open to this agenda. He wants to learn more. He wants to see the specific bills and the proposals that are attached to this. But he's fully informed and fully open-minded.
In terms of the car tax element of it, what constitutes who is middle class? What constitutes who would pay more?
So I think there's room in our tax structure, in our tax bracket, that we could probably move or create tax brackets that still keep us competitive or even under Massachusetts and Connecticut, where we could find that revenue. Now, we're not offering anything specific at this point because we have to see what the budget looks like. We have to see what proposals are out there on the speaker's part for reducing the car tax, but that's an option for us.
There's no actual bill for the car tax?
There will be legislation for all of these elements of the Fair Shot agenda that will be rolled out individually, and that there will be press releases and maybe even more press conferences.
Can you use any of the car tax, is it done based on the value of the car or needs tested, or how do you balance it between wealthy and working families? How does that work?
You want to grab that?
I was just going to say, a lot of these bills are going to have their own coalitions that will be rolling them out with the specifics. So we don't want to get in the weeds too much today. This is about setting out the values and what we're going to be working for together in our collective advocacy.
I think we have a broad understanding of what the costs of reimbursement are for the cities and towns, and we're going to have to work within that structure. So yeah, all of those. And the interesting thing here is not all of this is new. This has been proposed individually by representatives over the past few years, at least. What's new is the collective aspect of this. We're going to advocate as a group for this package. I think that's what we're stressing here today.
How many sick days?
So the earned sick day legislation that's going to be going in would allow for Rhode Island workers to earn up to 7 sick days in a year. And there's an accrual process. And, we think that's the minimum of what folks should have. And again, that's setting a floor. That's not a ceiling, and there's most employers right now offer sick days. And if every employer offered them, then we wouldn't need legislation, but there are a whole lot of Rhode Islanders who don't have access to any, and that's what this is about.
For Brandenburg, I think we can anticipate business people, despite the arguments in support of some of these measures from you folks, would say that some of these measures are anti-business, that these would drive up costs for business. Do you have a rebuttal to that?
Sure, so first of all, I think when working families are doing better, as Representative Franklin Bassel said, we all do better. That's sort of bottom-up economic development. When folks have a little more money in their pocket, they can put it into the local economy. When folks are able to take a day off when they're sick, they're happier in their jobs, they're more productive, and that it helps with turnover, which is a big issue with business. What we found, particularly on sick days, actually, in every state where it's passed, and it's now passed in a number of states, red states, blue states, purple states, everywhere it's passed, there have been initial concerns by the business community and initial opposition, and then after it passes, the business community across the board has said, actually, this is working out great, and our concerns were overblown. The Hospitality Association in San Francisco, which was the first city that passed this, he just a year later, he said, this is the best bang for your buck policy that you can get as far as helping workers, not hurting businesses. So we think that this is going to be good for everyone.
How big is the school building repaired? Is there a dollar figure or any sense of the size?
We're waiting on a RIDE report. Many of the districts, I think all of the districts have received a report on their facilities. We believe the need is in excess of $1 billion. And if you narrow that down to what's essential, I think we have a crisis in our school construction that is probably as great, if not greater, than the crisis we had with our roads and bridges. That's it. Thank you very much for coming today. We appreciate it.